You can hear the wind whipping outside my vehicle. I'm working solo here, so the camera's in the car. If I had it outside, it'd be a mile down the road before I could catch it, with 70-mile-per-hour gusts here in Hamburg. And a familiar sight to many here in Hamburg, people coming down to see the waves outside Hoechst, and another spectacle this storm. Why are we talking a car apart from each other?
Because I can't get out of my car right now because the wind is so strong that it will blow me over.
The conditions outside the confines of a car were no laughing matter along Lakeshore Road in Hamburg, where Erin Anderson, a Jamestown native living in Florida, spent part of her holiday travels in awe of Mother Nature.
I love extreme weather events, so we decided to drive out here and just sit across the road from the lake to check it out, and it's pretty incredible.
Waves battering the iconic Hoechst and onlookers, some of whom had come to see this now viral stolen BMW out of Buffalo, getting pummeled by Lake Erie. Police are notifying the owner.
And just to watch the waves come up over the parking lot, hitting all the cars over there in the restaurant.
A spectacle fueled by 70-mile-per-hour winds, waves also battering the break wall in Buffalo.
It's just amazing to be able to witness this, and I've always seen videos of Hoechst in the winter when it freezes over. I wanted to come check it out, and I'm so glad I get to be here for this.
A storm to remember on the way back to Florida. On your side in Hamburg, Rob Hackford, Channel 2 News.
Actually, Scott, we found out that they made a lot of progress with power restoration yesterday, despite those brutal conditions with those strong winds that were blowing through. National Grid now telling us that at the peak of their outages, they had 76,000 people without power in an 11-county area here in western New York. And this morning, actually, they were down to 68,000 people. That shows how quickly they worked to restore power. A lot of that was accomplished through the work of the 500 or so outside area crews that they brought in. They're the ones that got that number below the 68,000 figure there that we were talking about. The people they got restored, 68,000. Today we did see crews from places like Michigan and Ontario, Canada, other neighboring and even New England states help to take care of the so-called backyard repair work, where the utility poles and lines are actually more difficult to access locations in those residential neighborhoods. They're hoping to wrap up this restoration before more snow hits tomorrow.
The snow is providing visibility issues in Genesee County up that direction. I was shown a video of what our crews were dealing with there, trying to repair a pole in what's really blinding type conditions. And to answer your first question, we're looking at getting the majority of the remaining outages back into service by the end of the day today. With the remainder, there's always a few that trickle into the following day, and that's the plan as we stand here.
Now, with the possibility of some remaining outages and with a state public service commission requirement to provide help for anyone without power beyond 48 hours, National Grid actually handing out bottled water and dry ice for food storage at this Buffalo fire station on Hurdle Avenue this afternoon. Now, the NYSEG website indicates, they just sent out an update indicating that they have 95% of their customers who have had power restored throughout the upstate, and that would include western New York. I just wanted to clarify again. National Grid said that they had 76,000 people without power at their peak. They had that number down, and 68,000 people had power restored as of this morning. So again, you see the progress that they really made there despite those terrible conditions yesterday. Reporting live from the National Grid Center here on Kensington Avenue in Buffalo, I'm Ron Plants, Channel 2 News, with a little bit of wind even picking up right now. Scott, we'll send it back to you.
We have met with Blaze before. He's, not a first-time flyer for us.
State police say 57-year-old Walter Blaze was inside his Edgewood Drive apartment when he shot at a 23-year-old from Gowanda who was plowing snow.
Do the victim and Blaze know each other?
So the victim and Blaze know each other, but not in a way where we're good friends.
The victim told state police it all started before 10:30 Tuesday morning.
He heard the bang, which would be the gunshot. He saw the glass break in the cabin. He knew he got shot because he had blood, And at that point in time, he saw the suspect, he recognized who he was, feared for his life that he may shoot again, was able to get out of the tractor and basically run from that area.
The victim was taken to a hospital with injuries to his arm and neck.
That is a really low injury comparatively, considering it was what we believe to be a 12-gauge shotgun round, which could have done catastrophic damage to a human being.
State police say Blaze barricaded himself inside his apartment for several hours, prompting evacuations of part of this area as negotiators tried to speak with him.
Eventually came to a point where we had to use CS gas and make forced entry into the residence, and it was our special operations response team that took him into custody without any incident.
The Erie County District Attorney's Office says Blaze intentionally shot and damaged an Erie County Sheriff's Office drone.
We did find a Remington 870 12-gauge shotgun with spent casings we believe to be used not only by the suspect and our victim, but also throughout this 5-hour basically standoff.
At this time, state police say they don't have a motive. Blaze was arraigned and faces charges including attempted murder, attempted assault, and criminal mischief. He's being held without bail and is due back in court Monday. On your side, Courtney Courtwright, Channel 2 News.
Granville's sister-in-law, Lieutenant Lucia Esquilin, was the commander at the scene signing off on police reports. Outgoing Mayor Chris Scanlon's administration today confirmed that while Buffalo cops escape criminal charges, Esquilin will be demoted from lieutenant down to detective sergeant. The statement from police spokesman Tim Richards said the other officers faced, quote, a range of administrative disciplinary actions based on the nature of their conduct and the BPD's contractual disciplinary guidelines. Relative to BPD, this matter is considered concluded. But Councilmember Dave Rivera, who represents the Niagara District where the crashes occurred, says not so fast. He released a statement saying, quote, while the Buffalo Police Department is reporting that the officers have been disciplined appropriately, I am asking council staff to schedule a police oversight committee meeting in the coming weeks to discuss this further. It was Rivera, a former police officer and the chair of the Police Oversight Committee, who at the July meeting said in order for public trust to be restored in the department, they need more answers as to why the body cameras of the officers who responded were either not on or were deleted at a later date.
However, we wanted to talk about procedures, how police respond to accidents, hit and runs, when the body cameras come on. And we asked, in this case, why didn't that happen?
Did it sit heavy on you having all these portraits of every mayor before you?
Yeah.
Look at you as you walk into this office every day?
Yeah, it's certainly the first couple weeks, for sure. You know, the gravity of it and just how important the role is here in the city.
Another thing that sits with the outgoing mayor is how easy it can be to misunderstand all the work that goes into running the city.
It's very easy to criticize this building, but this team that's been here is an incredible group of Buffalonians, people who are really truly public servants who come in here every day to try and improve the lives of Buffalonians, and that I want people to know that the team that we have here is second to none, and that if I did this all over again, I would bring the exact same team with me.
In my numerous conversations with the acting mayor over the last 14 months, one thing that remains consistent is how many little fires need to be put out on any given day and processing everything that happens.
There's a lot of good days, but there's a lot of bad days. There's a lot of difficult days.
Yeah.
What was that most difficult day for you in office?
Yeah, there's certainly days that are more frustrating than others. If you're trying to get people to see where you're coming from, why you're trying to do what you're trying to do, and they're not quite getting there, that can be frustrating. But it's certainly the most difficult day of the last 14 months was the passing of my brother, and the months afterwards, and right up to this day, it's very difficult to believe that he's not with us. Especially now around the holidays.
As the mayor and I walked through City Hall on one of his last days, the topic of legacy wrapped up our conversation.
Is there something in particular that you're hoping down the road you can drive by or show your kids when they're a little bit older to understand it and say, I did that?
And I don't think you have the luxury of worrying about your legacy when you're in a role like this. There's too many important decisions that you have to make, and if you're making them based on what you want your legacy to be, those are decisions that are going to be misguided. What I'm most proud of and what I'd like to point to my children is that I've conducted myself in a way that has made my family proud, and that ultimately, not legacy, but I want the same thing that I've kind of always wanted as an adult, that if my name comes up in conversation, there's someone in that group that says, you know what, that's a good man. And that's all I've really ever wanted.
Mayor Scanlon and I covered a wide range of topics, including the city's finances, his frustration with the city controller, his return to the Common Council, and more. Now, that whole conversation is featured in a special edition of On the Agenda, streaming on WGRZ Plus and on our website. On your side, Nate Benson, Channel 2 News.
Starting Thursday, the minimum wage goes up to $16 an hour in Western New York.
And that little boost of 50 cents per hour comes out to about $1,000 per year.
I talked with UB School of Management professor Scott Lang about what this could mean for workers.
I would argue it might actually get a bit tougher because in order to adjust for the wage increase, a lot of these businesses are going to have to kind of scale back hours.
And here's what it could mean for consumers.
I think a lot of businesses are going to pitch, yeah, we need to up our prices because of this. And so are they able to maybe kind of skirt around something that is arguably good for minimum wage workers, right? They're able to take those higher wages and immediately tend to spend it because they have very little income to begin with, relatively speaking. And so it might be a bit of a boom for the local economy because everybody suddenly has a little bit more money to spend.
In New York City, there's a new immigration law to protect people from fraud committed by immigration assistance service providers. A local immigration attorney told me this could eventually have an impact here if more cities follow suit.
It establishes certain guardrails on the types of services that those providers can give. There's going to be a report submitted to the mayor annually on all the complaints that are received.
For parents, the Empire State Child Tax Credit will increase from $330 to $500 for kids ages 4 to 16 when you file your 2026 taxes in 2027. And the new baby or birth allowance for beginning year benefit gives low-income parents a one-time payment of $1,800 to help cover newborn essentials.
For some, this moment is more than ceremonial. It's permission, it's hope. It's proof that change is possible. I walk through this door carrying a responsibility to hold it open for those who will follow.
A historic moment in Cheektowaga as Tiffany Lewis becomes the first person of color to sit on Cheektowaga's town board. Democrats Brian Pilarski, Monica Elderkin, and Stephen Nowicki taking the oath of office on Tuesday as well. During his speech, Nowicki celebrated his new colleagues.
I think it's a lot more important to look at the successes Brian Pilarski's already brought to this board, being able to continue those, and more importantly, our two ladies down there, Councilmember-elect Monica Elderkin and Tiffany Lewis, making sure we have some good female representation on this board.
Friends and family of Councilwoman Lewis say they believe this moment is inspiring to future generations.
If you have any doubts, even in yourself or what you're doing, anybody that's watching, look at this moment and say, change is here. There's no more changes coming. Change is here. And everybody's heart, you can feel the energy in the room.
Young women need to see people who look like them sitting in these important chairs, making important decisions and taking care of our community. And that's what today really is about. And I am so excited for Tiffany, right? Not only is she now a colleague in government, she's been a very close friend of mine for many years. And so I'm just really excited.
It's time to make a change. Cheektowaga has been at a crossroad for so long. And now with me on the board, we can get more work done together. And it's all about togetherness.
Buffalo stands at a critical inflection point. The city is facing severe financial hardship.
In a city facing a $35 million budget deficit, the incoming Ryan administration is looking for new ways to boost revenue. One solution, a fund made up of public and private donations managed by the nonprofit Community Foundation for Greater Buffalo.
We are establishing the City of Buffalo Transition and Transformation Fund that we will hold at the foundation.
The foundation says the fund currently holds $800,000 contributed by founding partners, including the Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Foundation, the John R. O'Shea Foundation, and the Community Foundation for Greater Buffalo.
We trust these foundations. We've worked with these foundations, at least the 3 that were listed today.
Some council members are looking for clarity.
We just don't want to make certain that there's no type of issues that are created by it.
And raising some eyebrows about private sector donations.
Well, philanthropic is a little bit different, but from a private sector, which is how it was presented, how do we know that those businesses, those corporations, et cetera, who choose to remain anonymous are not also going to get contracts?
There's some kind of a benefit of having the foundation be the manager of this, in that if they're making sure that the compliance is occurring at state law at their level, and there's a blind firewall, so the administration would have no idea that a penny of money from blank corporation was going towards this purpose.
Common Council leaders say they'll still need some clarification, but they do welcome the idea aimed at bringing the city out of debt.
So there's some ambiguity there right now, and that we hope to get some clarity on. But certainly we applaud the effort, and right at this point we can use every dollar that's out there.
Hey there, Nate Benson here outside Buffalo City Hall, where it was a busy inauguration day for now Mayor Sean Ryan. He was sworn in at 11:30 in the morning by the Buffalo City Clerk, and then of course his inauguration ceremony continued right after that. But when that was all wrapped up, he had to get the keys to City Hall and wound up at his office, wandering through City Hall and checking out his office for the very first time. Sean Ryan didn't really visit the mayor's office too much when he was an assembly member and a member of the state Senate. So when he had a moment to have to himself to look at his office, he certainly did get a little bit emotional upon walking into his office for the first time. Suddenly the weight of everything is becoming a reality for Mayor Ryan. After walking through his office for the first time, he addressed the media, and here's some of what he had to say about city finances, transparency, and the road ahead for the Ryan administration.
During the campaign, you said day one you'd be reaching out to the state controller to do an audit of the city finances. Here we are, day one. Have you had that conversation with the state controller?
We've had several conversations with the comptroller's office to see how they can help us. And the help we're looking for, is to verify. And to verify our numbers and what we think the city's fiscal picture is, just to get through this year. Remembering that I'm inheriting a budget halfway through. So the budget that's in place, will stay in place until the end of May. So during that time, we have to get a really good handle on it. And between the control board, the Buffalo Fiscal Stability Authority, and the state comptroller, we're already doing good work in that direction.
Well, over the weekend, we saw the closure of downtown's only movie theater. Today news broke that Allen Burger Ventures closing in Allentown. During the campaign, you promised a comprehensive downtown business plan. There were plans to bring downtown back to life. When can the public expect details for that plan?
We're going to start working on that, right away. We've already been in conversations with Buffalo Place. Trying to get a handle on how they view this situation. We've been talking to downtown property owners, building owners, as well as retailers. But we want to have it so we know the direction we're moving in downtown development. So when blips happen, because in our economy, there's always winners, there's losers, there's restaurants that open, there's bars that close. We just want to have a dynamic economy downtown. So when the bad news hits and a movie theater closes or a restaurant closes, in the same time you could report that several businesses opened during the same period of time.
Now, as for what's next, the Common Council reorganization meeting will happen Friday morning at 11 a.m. I'm told by multiple sources it is expected that Delaware District Council member Joel Farrelletto will be named the new council president. Zanetta Everhart will be the pro temp of the Common Council, and Leah Halton Pope will continue on as majority leader. So certainly a new dynamic for City Hall with new leadership in Common Council and, of course, a new mayor. On your side, outside City Hall, Nate Benson, Channel 2 News.
On Tuesday, Sean Ryan resigned from the state Senate. He's now the mayor of Buffalo, so in order to fill the now empty 61st district seat, there has to be a special election. Governor Kathy Hochul announced this morning that it will be Tuesday, February 3rd. Republican business owner Dan Gagliardo, who ran for Amherst Town Supervisor, is running. So far, 2 Democrats have announced they're running, Assemblymember Jonathan Rivera and Erie County Democratic Chair Jeremy Zellner. Zellner was also the Board of Elections Commissioner until he resigned from that position today. The parties choose the nominees for special elections. Today, Rivera and Zellner addressed that process, considering Zellner is the leader of the party in Erie County.
I've recused myself, and we've asked the chair of the legislature, Tim Myers, to run that meeting and handle all of the actions for that. We have 80-something members of the executive committee that will be voting on this. I've talked with a lot of them, and I do have a lot of support and a lot of encouragement to do this from a lot of folks throughout the district. I feel very good about it, and we'll see what happens next week.
People are tired of the inside political sort of chatter about elections. Instead, people really want to hear directly from candidates and earn votes. We now live in a time where, institutional people do all kinds of things to make it so that they can make it easier or get an edge for themselves. But at the end of the day, voters don't want to feel cheated. They want to feel engaged. They want to be heard.
That special election is for the current term that runs through the end of the year. That means there's a primary in June where voters will decide who will be on the ballot in November.
There'll be 3 elections this year, the special, a primary in general, and they're going to have their say, and I think I've got a very strong case to make.
This election in June is going to be decided by voters. It's not going to be decided by political machinations. It's not going to be decided by, sort of the ugliness of politics.
And they are primarily concerned, Lauren, about fans who might try and walk off with souvenirs from the stadium or might try and rush the field for that very indeed special attempt at a last game selfie from the field, believe it or not. Of course, they have made it kind of hard, more difficult over the years, to bring in a wrench or tools that might be used to swipe a seat or something, and anyone taking items might be then hard-pressed to get them out, even if there is such thing as a ghost wrench. Still, Sheriff's Lieutenant Jeremy Lenning says don't even try.
You're going to be caught right at the gate. So there's if you try to sneak tools in, to attempt to steal your seat or anything affixed to the stadium walls, anything like that at all, you're going to be stopped at the gate.
Yeah. Leave the sockets at home.
Leave the toolbox at home.
They will also have extra police on the field and undercovers in the stand to prevent people from trying to rush the field after the game, and say even if there were so many that they couldn't collar them all, they remind that cameras are all over the place, all over the stadium, and that would assist them to identify any perpetrators. And offenders could not only face criminal charges, but also could face the chances of not being able to attend games at the new stadium when it opens next season. It's also well worth noting, Lauren, that many of the items that people might be interested in, everything from seats to pieces of turf, sections of the goalpost, are already being put up for sale by the Bills. So you could just buy that memorabilia and save yourself a lot of trouble. On your side, live in Orchard Park, Dave McKinley, Channel 2 News.
Good advice. Thank you, Dave.